Kim Jong-un is the sun around which all else revolves.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be looking at the most evil humans alive at the time of writing.
On the Russian side, there is very little pressure on Putin to make a deal, especially because all opposition to him has been wiped out.
Ali Khamenei. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution turned Iran into a theocracy. Since then, they've had two supreme leaders.
He controls media, he controls judiciary, he controls police, and he has his own economic empire.
The second, Ali Khamenei, has held the position since 1989. He's an extremely controversial leader who is responsible for the deaths of thousands. Khamenei rules with an iron fist, using overwhelming force to suppress any opponents.
Since 2009, he was more comfortable in suppressing the democratic movement in Iran.
He's a major enemy of feminism, believing it to be a Zionist plot to corrupt the role of women in society. Any part of the LGBTQIA+ grinds his gears, and there's not really anything nice to be said about him.
The legacy of Ayatollah Khamenei would be creating a protection for the survival of the regime.
El Chapo and Nemesio. Cartels are some of the most unethical organizations in human history. Currently, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel is one of the most infamous.
A little-known Mexican drug lord named El Mencho was to be considered the city's most wanted fugitive and public enemy number one.
They're based in Jalisco, western Mexico. They've been led by two despicable men, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes and Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. The latter was captured on 3 separate occasions and was finally convicted in 2019.
The most powerful drug lord ever to live, reduced to tears in the hands of U.S. federal agents. Now, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera facing life behind bars after a months-long trial found him guilty.
Estimates claim he has over 34,000 deaths on his hands. Now they're run by Nemesio, who is just as despicable a person. He's currently Mexico's #1 most wanted criminal, and there are huge rewards available for helping capture him.
The $10 million reward for El Mencho's arrest has just been increased to $15 million.
Josef Fritzl. Unlike other entries on our list, most of Fritzl's evil deeds were targeted at one person, his daughter.
What Elizabeth Fritzl revealed was that her father, Josef, had kept her locked in a cellar for 24 years.
For 24 years, his daughter Elizabeth had been held captive by her own father in Austria. The abuse she suffered is beyond stomach-churning. It resulted in Fritzl and his daughter having several children in total. Fritzl managed to convince authorities that they were foundlings, allowing him to go unnoticed for years.
He was a cunning, meticulous man who planned his crime years in advance.
One child died, 3 were raised by Fritzl, and the others were left in captivity. It was all revealed in 2008 after Elizabeth's daughter was taken to a hospital for medical attention. Staff found the situation suspicious and reported it to the police. Now he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars, as deserved.
And in 2009, he's going to be given a whole life, he's going to be given a life sentence, but eligible for parole after 15 years.
Which is something to talk about there, because that, I would like to think that wouldn't happen here.
Warren Jeffs. Cults are one of the most nefarious organizations a person can get involved in.
Warren Jeffs is the prophet and leader of the FLDS.
They often prey on vulnerable people, then make it so they can't leave via methods such as blackmail. One of the largest cults was the Fundamental Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're a polygamous cult with a tendency to severely abuse minors. One estimate claims ex-leader Warren Jeffs has over 79 wives.
In this community where a man needs 3 wives to gain salvation, Warren Jeffs married over 80 women.
It's unlikely they were all acquired via ethical means. The church has had thousands of members who all reside in an isolated location. Despite Jeff's conviction, the church still exists and upholds his abhorrent practices.
From prison, he continues to control the church. Under Warren Jeffs' leadership, rules became stricter, and many left the faith, whether by choice or excommunication.
Rodrigo Duterte. Between 2016 and 2022, Duterte was president of the Philippines.
Nicknamed the Punisher, Rodrigo Duterte is a Harley-riding former city mayor who speaks his mind.
Pretty much as soon as he got the job, he initiated a horrifically inhumane war on drugs. Rather than rehabilitating offenders, he encouraged people to murder them without a fair trial.
To remind you, thousands of small-time drug dealers, users, others as well, were killed without trial while he was in office.
It's unclear how many lost their lives, as it was too chaotic to truly tell. Officially, there were just over 6,000. Overestimates claim it could be double that, or even up to 30,000. Even children lost their lives in the fighting, which the government simply dismissed as collateral damage. Duterte even once compared himself to Hitler, proving just how warped his worldview is.
There is nothing wrong in trying to preserve the interest of the next generation.
Peter Scully. The dark web can be an abominable place. This is due to people like Peter Scully who use it to earn money for the most wretched schemes imaginable.
The perpetrator of these horrendous acts is the most depraved individual I've ever come across.
The Australian's first controversy was running a real estate fraud scheme, but he earned a spot on our list for selling the most despicable videos of children on the dark web.
You know, this was a wealthy white man preying on very underprivileged people, very poor people.
For his crimes, he faced 75 charges, and they even considered reintroducing the death penalty in the Philippines solely for Scully. Now he's rotting in jail, but he and his sister claim his conditions are terrible. It's hard to feel sorry for the guy, though, after the extreme suffering he's caused.
I think we are finished.
I think we are.
Okay.
Benjamin Netanyahu. Our next entry is one of the most powerful war criminals alive right now. He's Israel's longest-serving prime minister, who is currently committing genocide in Palestine.
Before dinner, the leaders appeared to be upbeat about achieving a ceasefire in Gaza and securing the release of those still being held captive there. But they also implied they see the possible relocation of Palestinians to other countries as part of this process.
While Netanyahu will deny it, numerous experts and studies confirm that's what's happening. This has made him a war criminal in the eyes of the ICC, which has issued an arrest warrant for him.
The International Criminal Court's decision to issue arrest warrants for war crimes against Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has triggered a furious response across the political spectrum here, with the Prime Minister calling them anti-Semitic.
Alongside him are other criminals such as Bezalel Smotrich, who illegally lives in the West Bank and frequently makes highly offensive remarks. Other controversies of Netanyahu's regime include a 12-day war with Iran and an invasion of Syria.
It took only days for Netanyahu to seize the vacuum after the fall of the regime of Syria's Bashar al-Assad. He used that opportunity to attack Syria.
Joseph Kony. Uganda may never forget the actions of the brutal warlord Kony, leader of the Lord's Resistance Army.
He preaches that he's on a mission from the Holy Spirit to overthrow the Ugandan government and set up a messianic Christian state with him as leader.
While his influence has diminished severely over the years, he still hasn't faced justice for his crimes. He's arguably Africa's most infamous warlord, who despicably uses child soldiers to fight his battles. At least 66,000 children became victims of his outrageous organization. He eventually became famous in 2012 after a group called Invisible Children tried to get him arrested.
It simplifies a war that is so complex and gives this picture that, only a certain person, if a college student in America gives them money, they will stop Kony. So I'm wondering, where is the link between them getting money and stopping Joseph Kony?
This failed and became known as a form of slacktivism. Now he has roughly 100 soldiers under his command and is supposedly hiding in Darfur, Sudan.
But many victims' families feel he is still a threat.
The government should have to look for coins so that coins should not come back again. If the government is not looking after coin may even come back.
Vladimir Putin. Despite the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia is still ruled by a dictator in all but name.
A man who will go on to transform the course of the 21st century.
Putin has been pulling strings in the nation for over 2 decades. He rose to prominence as a KGB agent in the USSR, then moved into politics after its dissolution. Now he rules with an iron fist, utilizing extreme propaganda to get what he wants. This includes Ukraine, which he's been trying to invade since 2022.
It was a day of infamy for the Russian government and terror for millions of Ukrainians. Vladimir Putin wrote himself into the history books in all the wrong ways as he invaded a democratic, sovereign neighbor in a war of imperial conquest with chilling echoes of the 1930s.
This has, of course, sparked international outrage and calls for Putin's arrest. Peace is something Putin won't accept unless he gets an overwhelming amount of land from Ukraine, furthering global hatred for his authoritarian ways.
A quarter century in the Kremlin has changed Putin, but as he himself said in this interview back in 2015, he has always been shaped by, and perhaps defined by, his extraordinary past.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Bashar al-Assad. The only good thing about this dictator is that he's finally been ousted.
Bashar al-Assad appears to have carefully planned his subterfuge.
Kamal Sakhr was told to organize a camera crew to film a speech that the former dictator never intended on delivering.
Richard Sackler. This pharmaceutical salesman is central to instigating America's opioid crisis.
One lawsuit already settled for $24 million is now yielding new information to the public about the involvement of Richard Sackler.
David Miscavige. Scientology's current leader has done immense damage to countless people.
Whatever you have heard, if you haven't heard it from us, I can assure you, we are not what you expect.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Kim Jong-un. A strong case can be made for North Korea being the world's worst country in which to be born. It's been ruled by Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un since 2011.
At the young age of 28, Kim Jong-un became the next leader of North Korea after his father died.
Kim's a disgusting person, to put it mildly. To maintain power, he holds public executions, maintains labor camps, and frequently starves his population. It's virtually impossible to leave North Korea, and if you try, there's a high chance you won't survive the attempt.
Nothing that's coming out of North Korea is sort of haphazard. They have thought this through.
Kim's regime is so brutal, they've executed teenagers for watching South Korean dramas. He's even been sending Korean soldiers to Ukraine to help fight Putin's outrageous war of aggression.
He's leader of a pariah state that we know. He wants nuclear weapons, and we know that he sent 15,000 troops to help Putin invade Ukraine.
Are there any particularly nefarious humans we failed to mention? Let us know in the comments below.
Inside the church, information is kept limited. They're taught not to trust the government or believe the news, so the faithful are in fierce denial about Warren Jeff's